So I am so excited that we are doing our Reconnect with Rockers Week, and I have our friend of, you ready for this? 33 years.
Oh, wow.
Is that crazy? And I've known you
That's
for 30
crazy.
of those years, 33 years. The
Well, it has been my pleasure. Thank you so very much. It's so great to talk to you again and to see you. I don't know if people know that we can see each other. Yay.
Yay.
Happy to know that you're doing well and you're safe and you're still calling us. You're still talking to us and reaching out to your fans. So thank you.
You know, it's amazing. Our listeners have reached out to us for so much, you know, whether it's getting a little bit of a sense of normalcy in their lives and hearing music that moves them, that they love. So when they said, you guys are such a station that's always so entrenched in the rock community, are you guys ever going to be reconnecting? And I thought, you know what, let's do a reconnect with rockers and start talking to a lot of our friends. So Gavin Rossdale was on, Scott Stapp is on, you're on with me this week. First of all, how have the past few weeks affected you? The one and only Joe Satriani. I don't even know if because I just feel like everybody, he's a freaking legend. It's Joe Satriani. Everybody knows Joe. So what have the past few weeks been like for you personally?
Well, first of all, I'm lucky. I'm healthy, safely sheltered at home. I have been since Christmas time, I guess. But like everybody else, this is a family effort, a block effort, a community effort. It's a global effort. Everybody has to sort of help each other out. So I'm just like everybody else. I know people think I'm just that crazy guitar player, busy practicing and shaving my head, but but in fact, I am a human being as well, not an alien, as some may have thought. But
you play like an alien because people cannot imagine that you're of this earth playing that guitar. So that's where that comes from.
Yeah. So but like I said, I'm well. My wife and I are sheltered at home. We're doing well. My son is well down in Los Angeles. So the rest of my family, friends, my band's scattered around the world. They're all doing well. So we're all just doing our part and make sure that this crisis ends sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about the new record, which is Shapeshifting, which is, I can't believe you haven't made a record named Shapeshifting before, because it just seems like such a perfect, it's the 17th studio record, 17.
That's what they tell me. I literally have not been keeping track of how many things we put out. I know that we've got over 20, close to 30 pieces of things that we've released as albums, DVD components, compilations. But as far as like a studio album with all original material on it, I think this is 17. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this record seems, everybody always thinks of you as like a concept guy, but this seems to me to be less conceptual and almost more like, I can't even think of the right word, like almost like it's just like a premise. Like it just seems to be little pieces of who you are. I almost feel like every song, for me listening to it, has been its own journey. They seem to be very unique and very kind of standalone, and everyone is just completely different. It's almost like different records, almost like little mini vignettes that are all different records.
Yes. Well, I'm happy to hear you describe it that way. That was my premise or theme.
Yes. Yes.
You win. I have to say that last year, well, first of all, going back to the end of the What Happens Next tour, we finished in Pune, India. We got back home and I was thinking, all right, time for something different, a little reinvention. Put the guitar away for a couple of days, try to forget all the licks you've been playing over and over again. And then I signed on to do the Experience Hendrix tour. So I was last year going out and playing with Kenny Aronoff on drums and Doug Pinnick singing lead and playing bass guitar. Amazing trio. We had so much fun.
Yeah. Wow.
And during that period, I was sort of inspired to not have one theme where all the songs that I would write and all the parts that I would come up with would be sort of funneled through this one theme. Like if you were going to do like a metal album, you'd make everything sound metal. You'd bring your metal gear, you'd invite metal people in, you'd get a metal studio and a metal producer. And I thought, well, what's the contrarian way of doing that, which is write freely based on the experience of the last tour, going out with the Hendrix tour, and then make the songs change you. From song to song, you morph, you shapeshift. And once I thought about that word, I thought, okay, I write a theme song to get me going on this idea. So I wrote the title track, and I thought, okay, this sounds like more of an invitation. It's a little dangerous. It's going to end with something crazy. And then, as you said, every song will be a little piece of my personality, but it could almost be from different records. And we, as a team, sort of all embraced this idea. So every day we showed up to studio, we said, let's be different people. Let's play different. Let's, adjust the equipment in a different way. Let's make this a really magical moment today for this song. And then tomorrow we'll do it all from scratch again. And that was so much fun making the record that way.
And the team is incredible. I mean, what a team you put together. And working with Jim Scott, who is like just producer. I mean, where do you start? Dixie Chicks and Foo Fighters. A lot of people may remember him from the HBO special, the Dave Grohl special, Sonic Highway, which was incredible. But he's just done everything. Tom Petty records, and he did a million Grammys and a ton of nominations, and an amazing engineer. And so when you guys got together, what was that like?
It's funny how that happened, because I wasn't thinking about him. He was one of those producers that I would always think like, well, he'll never work with me. Why would he bother with a rock instrumental guitar record? And so one day in the middle of the year, last year, I'm trading texts with Kenny Aronoff about the upcoming Hendrix tour. And he just happens to mention, and I mean really just off the cuff, he says, just got back from Jim Scott's studio. What a great guy. What a crazy studio. Always loved working with him. And then he goes on to talk about what we were talking about. And I saw the text. I'm looking at it. I'm going, I should just call the guy. Like maybe he's waiting to hear from me. He's sitting at home going, how come like that Joe Satriani dude never calls me? So I thought, you never know unless you try. So I reached out, and then we had a great conversation on the phone. And then my wife and I drove down from San Francisco to Valencia, California, where a studio is. And we just had a hi, how are you visit. And I just really liked him. He was just a great guy. I knew all of his work, as you mentioned, a tremendous catalog of work.
So much to mention. I mean, because you're just like, oh, he did that record, and he did that record, and he did that record. I mean, think of him being in the studio with Tom Petty. So the guy also has to have probably like a very, that demeanor that the artist is really going to bond with, and because you got a lot of artists that know what they want, they know what their sound is, and they don't want some producer guy telling them what they're supposed to do. So obviously this chemistry between the two of you, he probably thought you, because you're just like a dream to work with and everything. You're a very low maintenance guy, even though every bit that you deliver is so high. So I would imagine you're a producer's dream to work with.
I hope so. You'd have to ask some of my friends, privately, they may say something different, but
no, everyone loves you. Everyone talks about how great you are. So everyone loves you.
With Joe, you're touching on something that's so important about producers. We all know that they've got to have great ears. They have to be knowledgeable about the gear. So they've got to be smart in that part. And Jim, we know from his body of work, is super talented there. He knows how to make records. He knows how to record people, record instruments of all kinds. And but there's that other part. There's actually two more I want to mention. Number one, you present him with a task, and he knows how to organize it to get it done. This is so important, because artists go into making a record, they're nervous because it's most amount of money they're going to be spending in a long time, and they realize that they've only got they've got, not only do they have a schedule, but they have this budget, and they're nervous about wasting the money. They want to make sure they make it the greatest record possible for this loan they're getting from the record company.
Yep.
And so you hope that your co-producer or producer is going to be able to organize it for you and keep you on task. And then the other thing, which I'm so glad you mentioned, is that Jim was so great with us as a bunch of crazy musicians who get in a room and just play whatever. Oh, sorry about that. There's my phone. That's Jim calling me right now, probably. He hears, he's psychic that way, right?
He knows the shapeshifter shifting into his atmosphere.
Yeah. But he was great with us because there were some songs that would be like so much fun to play that I bet that we would go off the rails playing like too much fun. And he would know when to stop us, when to tell us, 3 takes ago, you guys really were going in the right direction. Let's go back there, And then those songs like Teardrops that were very emotional for everybody.
Beautiful
he
song.
knew that we weren't going to be able to play that very many times without just the whole day turning into a bummer. So he was really good at managing us as a group of people in a room, opening up our hearts and souls to this, hard drive, so to speak, and pouring our emotions out and using our talent. It's so important for, I think, a producer to know that. And one thing I learned from Glenn Johns is you can't really self-produce. If you're holding on to the guitar and you're in the room with the musicians, you can't be on the other side of the glass at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you know that. It's from your work, it's good to have somebody on the other side of the glass, telling you when to answer the phone, when to play the track, and letting you be creative. I mean, that's the whole point. They let you, use your talent to the most of your ability, but they also sort of move you along, corral you a bit, help you when you need a little push in the right direction. So
yep,
Jim was
absolutely
great to work with there.
Absolutely. And I love the band. I mean, it's just an incredible band.
Yeah.
The rhythm section off the charts. And I was watching some videos of, watching the making of this album, and Kenny Aronoff, he looks so happy in every video. Like, he's just always a happy looking guy anyway, but man, like for the first single, 1980, he's like just bam, and that's such a happy sounding song. And it just looked like such a chemistry, amazing talents, yet everybody was having fun and feeling the music, and it just looked like everything was so synced up perfectly for you guys.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. We started doing those sessions right at the beginning of September of last year, and pure luck, my son was there with his camera and started filming some, archival footage.
Yeah, he's been great doing that for you.
Amazing. And then he eventually directed the video for 1980, which was really great. And he was able to bring in the footage from the studio from that day. He happened to be there when we were working on that track, and mixed it in with the stuff that he produced with me later on in Burbank. So we fed off of each other, and you're absolutely right. I mean, Kenny Aronoff is a tornado of positive energy. I mean, it is amazing.
I was happy watching it. I was like, look at Kenny. And he's, it's like, and he's got like this swinging kind of style, and it's like, whoa, he looks so happy, playing this tune. And I could feel, and that's exactly what I think you were probably going for on the tune too. It's 1980. So that energy was just, I felt like I was in 1980 again. And it just was, that energy was just so right where you would want it to be on that song. It was incredible. It was a feeling. It was just a feeling for me when I first heard it.
Yeah, that's great. I knew that he would be the guy that really would capture the swing of that era, because it was less stiff than where it went, let's say in the mid 80s and the 90s. And I think that he was the perfect drummer to understand where it needed to swing. And of course, that enthusiasm, he came up with parts that were so much fun. It was great. We had such a good time in the studio. Yeah. And the footage backs that up. He was like that all the time. I mean,
yeah,
it's
no matter who you see him play with, anybody you see him play with, he's always having he never looks like the guy who's, making salad, just like getting through the day. He's always the guy that's energy up. He's the freaking rhythm section. That's,
yes.
That's
matter of fact, I bet he looks like he's having a good time when he's making salad. I love that.
I also want to talk about Shapeshifting, because I think that was one of my favorite tracks when I heard it. Just something about that song was very, it was you, yet it was like, it was not you. It was like different. There was just something about that song that I love. Oh, and I want to mention Ali Farka Dick Dale An Alien in Me. Tell me a little bit about that song and how that came to be. I mean, I know that, you know, these are obviously people that have influenced you as a musician, and things that have influenced you as a musician, but that would be hard, you know, why did you decide to make that just be the title of the song? I mean, it's an obvious title, but it would be an odd choice to say, yeah, this is what we're going to call it.
Yeah, well, it was extremely organic, the process. So I'll try to make it as succinct as possible here. So for the last 4, 5, 6 years, I've been working with musician Ned Evett on a science fiction animated story called Crystal Planet. There's a book, you know, we put out a pilot in a heavy metal magazine, actually, that came out a few months ago. And I actually started composing cues just in case we got the deal, you know, for an animated series. And I wanted to make sure we had lots of music for it. So I've got all these cues. And one day I'm in my studio about a year ago, and I'm listening to these cues, and I come across this one bit, and it sounds like a weird kind of West African, North African, alien visitation, you know, hip hop groove, something's going on. And I pick up my guitar, and for some reason I start playing like the great Ali Farka Touré, the Malian guitar player. And it's sounding like a song. So I very quickly turn on my phone, I record it. So I'm recording this improvisation that's turning into a composition on the phone. And then I go out on the first leg of the Hendrix tour with Kenny and Doug, and I'm listening to this every other day. I'm listening to this little recording, and I'm thinking, this is great. When I get home, I'm going to do a tribute song to Ali Farka. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but this is the basis of it. And then I get home, I lay the thing out. It's got some big gaps in it where I realize, well, I can stick me in there somehow.
Right.
And I've this weird alien coming in and out, but it's still not a song. And then we got the unfortunate news that Dick Dale passed away.
Yeah, last year.
And I was thinking like, wow, this is like a message for me. I have to somehow express my homage to the great Dick Dale. And then I thought, the song, if I could, how do I fit him into this song? And I had this daydream, and a loving daydream, but it was rather humorous when you think about it. Well, at least when I say it out loud. So imagine an oasis in North Africa, wonderful party in the middle of the night. Just so happens Ali Farka is there, Dick Dale is there, I'm there, and there's an alien buzzing around, and we're jamming for all our friends at this party. And Ali Farka starts it, and then he looks at Dick, and Dick takes over, and he looks at me, and I take, and
it's like heaven.
Yeah, so
like heaven for Joe Satriani.
So then I thought, okay, the arrangement of the song has to describe this party. It has to be this. It has to be a handoff. One guy jamming, handing it off to the next guy.
Right.
And I have to somehow nail it. And I tell you, playing like Dick Dale is really hard. Everybody can do it for like a couple of seconds, but when you have to do it, it's really hard. At least for me, anyway, to get that wonderful sound. You can't come close to it, but you can get a little bit close to it. He was just remarkable in how he was able to create that sound, and he had such a great life story. You know, the whole thing about Miserlou, his Lebanese roots, and how that just is still with us in society. It's it's an amazing American story, you know.
So this record is just tremendous. I think it's a real labor of love for you, and it's everything that you've been about, and you can hear it and feel it when you listen to it. It's called Shapeshifting. I am so happy to connect with you, my friend. It's wonderful to see you. I give you like a virtual, you know, social distancing reach out. But again, a great friend of WDHA in New Jersey, the one and only Joe Satriani. Best of luck with everything. We cannot wait to see you, you know, when we're all back safely, able to tour and hang out together. And I'm telling you guys and gals, download the record. You will absolutely love it. It is just a feast for the ears and a treat for the soul. And I cannot thank you enough for doing this. with me today. It's just been a pleasure. And I didn't screw it up. I'm so excited. I was like, Joe Satriani is Zooming with me. And I kept saying it on the air. I'm like, I just kept saying, poor Joe. Like I figured like I'd be going back and forth and like, sound and, so.
Oh, no, come on. You are such a pro.
No. Love you.
And you're always natural. Thank you so very much for all your support and love over the years. It's really great. So wonderful to see you doing well and hear your voice, Terrie. All right.
Healthy, safe. Love you.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Bye.